Lake Tanganika was always a place that I found incredibly fascinating, both from just the sheer exploration and vastness and disconnectedness of the place from the sort of scientific, environmental, biological interest that it held for me. So I had told my friend, I'm going to go to Lake Tanganika, and he said, "Girl, I'm not going there. It's in the middle of nowhere." And I said, "Well, I'm going to go anyway." And he said, "Well, I'll meet you in Zanzibar." And so I dragged my son and some friends to Lake Tanganika, where we were actually in a typhoon on a ship and got trapped in the Lake Tanganika basin, and the airstrip where I was supposed to be picked up was washed away. And in the course of this experience, I saw that really millions of people live around Lake Tanganika, and they're totally cut off from the rest of the world. And as I was bouncing around in this four-wheel drive car going 5 kilometers an hour, I thought, the only way you really could treat people with any kind of regularity is if you did it on a boat. And so I had that thought, and then I went back to Chicago, and I was on night duty in the cardiothoracic surgery ICU. And let me say, I love chest surgery, and I love critical care medicine, and I love being in that ICU. But it just happened to be one of those weeks where the ICU, and please don't accuse me of being a death panelist here for what I'm about to say, but the ICU was filled with really old, really sick people who had had multiple sort of heroic operations where the statistical likelihood that that person was ever going to be restored to any kind of meaningful quality of life was tiny. And so I'm working all night long to keep everybody in the ICU alive, and I'm doing crazy bedside procedures, and people are going back to the OR, and everyone's on dialysis and ECMO and all of this stuff, right? And everyone's alive at the end of the week. And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to do a back of the envelope calculation about how much money I spent this week keeping people elderly, very sick, without, all on ventilators, really no hope of mental recovery. How much money did I spend? And I calculated I spent about $2 million that week, which I think if people read the newspaper, we know that the majority of healthcare expenditures in this country occur in the last 3 months of life. So I thought, okay, well, what would I have done with that $2 million in the Lake Tanganika Basin? I probably could have saved at least 10,000 lives.